Good morning, student. Welcome to the lecture series of Computer Architecture and Organization. From today, we are going to start unit number 2, that is memory unit. Okay, so let's start with some basic concept, what is memory and how it works. So, as we know that the maximum size of the memory that can be used in any computer is determined by the addressing scheme that we have already discussed in unit number 1. So, what are addressing schemes? Word addressability and byte addressability. Okay, so the maximum size of the memory is determined by using these two schemes, that is byte addressability and word addressability. For example, if your computer system is 16-bit, okay, let's say you have a 16-bit computer system that generates 16-bit addresses. Okay, 16-bit computer system, it means that it will generate 16-bit addresses. Now 16-bit addresses means how many memory locations? Now we know that we write this as 2 raised to the power 16. Okay, so 16-bit system, it means that it will generate 16-bit addresses. Now 16-bit addresses means how many memory location? We will calculate it by using 2 to the power 16. So it is 64K. Okay, you can calculate it also. So 16-bit memory address, it means that there are 64K memory locations in your system. Okay, now similarly, a machine whose instruction generates 32-bit address. Okay, now let's consider now your system is 32-bit. Okay, 32-bit addresses. Now how many memory locations? So it will be 2 to the power 32. Okay, it means that the 16-bit system can utilize a memory up to 2 to the power 32 memory locations. So that means 4G. Okay, 4 giga memory locations. Now likewise, if your system is 40-bit system, it means that how many memory locations? 2 to the power 40 memory locations. Okay, so how much 2 to the power 40? That means your system can access up to 1 tera memory locations. Okay, now you are getting my point. Your system is 16-bit. Okay, that means 16-bit addresses are there, as we have seen in word addressability. If your system is 32-bit, okay, so that means 32 length of your word is 32-bit, but how many memory locations? 2 to the power 32 memory locations are accessible. That means 4 giga. If it is 40-bit, then 2 to the power 40. If it is 16-bit, then 2 to the power 16. Okay, so likewise, the number of memory locations represents the size of address space of the computer. Okay, so now the most of the modern computers are byte addressable. Okay, we have seen both word addressability and byte addressability, but most of the modern computers are byte addressable. Okay, now this byte addressability has again two ordering techniques, which are those big Indian ordering technique and little Indian ordering technique. Okay, so as I told you, the modern computers use byte addressability. That means your modern computers use big Indian ordering and little Indian ordering. Okay, so this big Indian ordering technique is used in 68000 processor, and the little Indian ordering technique is used in your well-known Intel processor. Okay, so now let's see what is the function of memory. We have also already discussed about what is the function of processor, what is the function of memory, what is the function of input unit and output unit. So what is the function of memory? The basic function of memory or memory is usually designed to store data and to retrieve data. Also to store program or instructions and to retrieve program or instructions in word length quantity. Now what is word length quantity? If your system is 32-bit, okay. Now what is the length of your word? The length of your word is 32-bit. If your system is 16-bit, then what is the length of word? 16-bit. That is the word length quantity. Okay, so the memory is usually designed to store and retrieve data in word length quantity. Okay, In fact, number of bits actually stored or retrieved in one memory access. Okay, so let's consider, for example, byte addressable computer, whose instruction generates 32-bit address. Okay, so when 32-bit address is sent from processor to the memory unit, that time higher order 30 bits determine which word will be accessed, and the byte quantity, that means the lower order 2 bits of the address, specify which byte location is involved. Let's say this is your byte addressability. Now your word is divided into 4 parts. Okay, so these 3 parts determine which word will be accessed, and the lower order byte determines the address. Okay, as we have seen, let's say if this is J, then this is J plus 1, then this is J plus 2 and J plus 3. Now what is the address of your first word? It is J. Now if we again elaborate it, let's say this is J plus 1, J plus 2 and J plus 3. It means that it is J plus 4. Then what is the address of your second word? The address of your second word is J plus 4. Okay, so now these 3 parts specify which word will be accessed, and now the first byte will specify the address of that particular word. Okay, now look at the diagram. Let me erase it. Okay, now this is your memory unit and this is your processor. Now data transfer between memory and processor takes place through the use of 2 processor registers. Okay, that means the MAR register and MDR register. Okay, MAR means memory address register and MDR means memory data register. Okay, so now if MAR is k bit long, let's say the size of your MAR memory address register is k bit, and the size of MDR, that is memory data register, is n bit. Okay, as we know that your address bus and data bus can be 8 bit, 32 bit and 64 bit. Okay, we have discussed it in first week. Now what is this 8 bit, 16 bit, 32 bit? It means if your address bus is 8 bit. Okay, that means there are 8 lines of wires. Okay, and each wire will transmit 1 bit. Okay, so if 8 wires are there, that means 8 bit it will transfer. If if your address bus is 16 bit, that means there is a combination of 16 wires. Okay, so each wire will transmit 1 bit. Likewise, it will transfer 16 bit. Okay, so let's say here as an example, your address bus is k bit and your data bus is n bit long. Okay, then the memory unit may contain up to 2 to the power k addressable locations. Now, if your address bus is k bit long, then how many memory locations it will access? It will access 2 to the power k. As we have discussed earlier, if your system is 32 bit, then how many memory locations? 2 to the power 32 memory locations. Now, if your address bus is k bit long, then how many memory locations it will access? It will access up to 2 to the power k memory locations. Okay, so during a memory cycle, n bits of data are transferred between the memory and the processor. As how many memory locations are there? 2 to the power k. Okay, and your data bus is n bit long. That means it will transfer n bits of data between memory and the processor. Okay, now this transfer takes place over the processor bus, which has k address lines and n data lines. Okay, now these are the processor bus which has k address lines and n data line. Now this bus also includes control lines. Okay, now we know that there are three types of bus. Basically, the bus which connects your processor, memory and input output unit. That means the bus which connects your main function unit is called as system bus. Okay, but that system bus functionality is divided into three parts: address bus, data bus, and third one is the control bus. Okay, so the processor bus, that means the system bus, also includes control lines. Okay, now what control line includes? Read control signal, write control signal, MFC control signal, etc. Okay, now this MFC is for coordinating data transfer. Now, how it will coordinate data transfer, we will discuss. Okay. Other control lines also may be added to indicate the number of bytes to be transferred, but basically we will discuss about the read, write and memory function complete control lines. Okay. So, the processor reads data from the memory by loading the address of required memory locations into the MAR register. Now we know that your PC will hold the address of instruction. Okay, and that address of instruction will put into MAR. Okay, so to read data from memory, what your processor will do? Your processor will load the address of required memory locations into the MAR. Okay, now your MAR is holding the memory location. Now after loading the address of required memory location into MAR, your control lines, that means your processor control signal, will set this R slash W bar control signal to 1. Okay, it means that your read operation is set to 1 and your write operation is, what is W bar? If it is bar, that means your write operation is 0. Okay, it means that now we are performing a read operation. Okay, so after loading the required memory location into MAR, your processor will set this R slash W to 1. Okay, now memory respond by placing the data from that particular address location into onto the data line. Okay, now processor reads the data from particular memory location. Now after that, what memory will do? Memory will place the data, for example this memory location 1, and it is containing data 33. Now memory will put that data 33 onto the data bus, onto the data lines. Okay, and confirms this action by asserting the MFC signal, and memory will confirm that action by asserting MFC signal. That means now this time this MFC signal will set to 1. Okay, now memory function completed. It means that the reading data from memory and placing data onto data bus, this function is completed. It means that your memory function is completed. Reading from memory is completed. And that's why your memory will set this memory function control signal to 1. That means your memory function is completed. Okay, now upon receipt of the MFC signal, now processor will get this signal that MFC is set to 1. Now upon receipt of this MFC signal, the processor loads the data onto the data lines into the MDR register. Now where is your data? Your data is onto the data lines. Now after getting this MFC equals to 1, your processor will put that data onto the MDR register. Okay, first your address is loaded into MAR. Okay, and then your processor will read data from particular memory location. That time your R slash W bar control signal is set to 1. That means reading operation is performing. Now after reading this data, your memory will put that data onto data bus and set this MFC signal to 1. It means that memory function is completed. Now processor can get the data. Now after getting this MFC signal, your processor will put that data from data lines onto the MDR register. Okay, so this is the reading of data. Now processor writes data into memory location. Now how processor now In this case, processor reads the data from memory. Processor fetch the memory address, then reads the data 33. Memory will put that 33 on data lines. Then processor will get that 33 and put it into MDR. This is the reading operation. Now, how processor will perform the write operation? The processor writes data into memory location again by loading the address of this location into MAR. To write the data again, processor needs memory location. So processor loads the particular memory address into MAR and loading the data into MDR. Now to that particular memory location, processor has to write some data. Okay, now processor put the address into MAR, but processor also has to put the data that processor has to write to that particular, let's say, the memory location 2. Okay, so for that, processor will load the data into MDR. Now let's say data is 45. Now processor specify the address where we have to write this for 45, and processor has put the, this 45 into MDR register. Okay, now this time the processor will indicate write operation by setting this r/w bar to 0. Now r/w bar is set to 0. It means that read operation is 0. That means we are not performing 0 read operation. And w bar is 0. It means that bar means your 0 will become 1. It means that now we are performing write operation. Okay, so this is how your processor reads data from memory and the writes data from memory. Okay, now here no need of memory function completed control signal, because we are writing data into memory. We are not fetching or reading data from memory. This control signal is just for memory functions. Okay, so this is about how memory and processor will communicate with each other. So this memory access may also be synchronized by using a clock, or they may be controlled by using some special signals, the signals that control transfers on the bus by using the bus signaling scheme. So there are some terms that we are used in memory unit. Like memory access time, memory cycle time, cache memory, and virtual memory. Now we will see all of them one by one. So as I told you, the memory access may be synchronized by using a clock. Okay, or we can say that let's consider speed measure of memory. So the useful measure of the speed of memory unit is the time. Okay, now how we calculate the speed of memory, it depends upon time. Okay, so the time that elapses between the initiation of an operation and the completion of that operation. For example, the time between read and the MFC signal is referred as memory access time. Let's see here. The time between the initiation of an operation and completion of that operation. It means that processor has to read data from memory. So the time from where processor starts the operation reading data from memory, that means processor first loads the address into MAR, then processor go to that memory location, then read 33, then memory will put that 33 onto data lines and set MFC to 1. Okay, now this complete cycle is called as memory access time. Time required for accessing memory, time required for accessing data from memory is called as memory access time. Then another term is that memory cycle time. Okay, so memory cycle time is the minimum time delay required between initiation of two successive memory operations. For example, two successive read operations. So what is memory cycle time? Let's see. First, processor has read data 33, then from memory location 2, processor will read data 45, then time delay between completion of first operation and completion of second operation is called as memory cycle time. Now reading data from memory only is the memory access time, but the time between two successive operations, that means time between first read operation and second read operation, is called as memory cycle time. Okay, so the cycle time is usually slightly longer than the access time, because in access time, processor reads the data and memory set MFC signal to 1. This is the memory access time. But after that, again, processor has to read another data. That is another successive read operation. So your memory cycle time is slightly longer than your memory access time. Okay, and it also depending on the implementation of your memory unit. Okay, now. Your memory unit is also called as random access memory, RAM. So if any location can be accessed for read or write operation in some fixed amount of time, that is independent of the location address. So this distinguishes such memory units from serially or partially serial access storage device such as magnetic disks and tapes. So your access time on the later devices depends on the address or position of the data. Okay, now we have discussed two important terms, that is measurement of the speed of memory, that is memory access time and memory cycle time. Now there are again some important terms. So the processor of computer can usually process instructions and data faster than they can be fetched from a reasonably priced memory unit. How it is? Uh, I will told you. The memory cycle time is the bottleneck in the system, because one way to reduce the memory access time, that means one way to reduce time required to access data from memory location, is to use a cache memory. As I told you, cache memory is always act as an intermediary between your processor and your memory unit, and it holds the frequently used data. So if you are frequently reading this data 33 from memory location, then the copy of that 33 will be placed into your cache memory. So rather than going to memory, then searching for 33, then reading 33 from main memory, your processor will directly go to cache memory and read that data from there. Okay. And in this way, your cache memory reduce the memory access time. Okay, so your cache memory is a smallest and fastest memory that is inserted between your processor and your main memory, and it holds the currently active segments of program and their data. As I told you one example, that your cookies, when you search something on YouTube frequently, it will show you similar data every time you open your YouTube. Also, when you see some similar post on your Facebook, then every time you open your Facebook, it will show you the data from your interest. It will show you the post from your interest. Okay, likewise your cache memory also works. Then the another important term is that virtual memory. So we have separate topics for cache memory and virtual memory. What is the organization of cache memory and virtual memory, and how they are work, how they are effective in speed and size. We will discuss in detail that time. But right now you just understand the basic concepts of memory unit. Okay. In this lecture we are talking about the basic concept of memory. Okay. So let's see what is virtual memory. So virtual memory is another important concept that is related to your memory organization. So far as we have assumed that the addresses generated by the processor directly specify the physical locations in the memory. Okay, it means that your system is 32-bit addressable. It means that how many physical locations in your memory? 2 to the power 32. That means 4 gigabits. Okay. So this may not always be the case, but sometimes it happens for reason that will become uh, uh, and for that we use virtual addresses. So in case an address generated by the processor is referred to as virtual or logical address, so your virtual address space is mapped onto the physical memory where data are actually stored. The mapping function is implemented by special memory control circuitry and often called as memory management unit. So the working of memory management unit is the translation of address from physical address to virtual address. Let's say the main memory of your laptop is 4 GB. Okay, in usually your laptops comes with the 4 GB RAM. Okay, and you want to run some applications on your laptop, and that time your 4 GB data is not sufficient to run that particular application. That time virtual memory comes into role. Let's say that time it will generate some virtual addresses by using your secondary memory, but it will act as a main memory and your applications will run that time. Okay, that is the working of virtual memory. We will see it in detail when we come up with that topic. But right now, just understood that in virtual memory, we use memory management technique to for address translation from physical address to logical addresses. And as I told you, virtual memory is used to increase the apparent size of physical memory. Your physical memory is only 4 GB, but still it is able to run some applications when your main memory is not sufficient to run that applications. So data are addressed in a virtual address space that can be as large as addressing capability of the processor. But at any given time, only the active portion of the space is mapped onto location in the physical memory. Okay, so that is what virtual memory. So this is all about the introduction of memory unit. We have discussed how your memory locations are addressable, how your processor will communicate with the memory, that means how your processor will perform read and write operation, and which are the measures for the speed of memory, that is memory access time, memory cycle time. After that, we also discuss about several techniques to increase the effective size and speed of the memory. Cache memory is usually used to increase the speed of your working, and virtual memory is used to increase the effective size. Okay, so this is about the introduction of unit number 2, that is memory unit.